because I understand that all-night session, not quite recently, did. Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic today is the politics and consequences of climate change. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the politics and consequences of climate change, Professor DPadget from Tennessee State University. Dr. Padgett, let me welcome you to the show this morning and to tell you how delighted we are to have you here because I think the topic that we're going to talk about is a very, very important topic, and quite a number of folks are involved in it one way or the other. And so let's have you to start off by giving us some information. You've been with us before, but there might be some members of our audience who might not know that much about you. And so give us some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and then by that time we should be able to get into that second segment. Then we'll talk about politics and consequences of climate change. But during this first segment, let's talk about DPadget and some of the things that you've been involved in, and et cetera.
Okay, well, I earned my undergraduate degrees in geography and geology from Western Kentucky University, and I worked for the federal government for a while as a physical scientist. And then I did my graduate degrees, master's and PhD, in physical geography and geology and environmental engineering. And so I guess my academic training is primarily in what we would call earth system sciences. I helped to start the environmental geography program at Austin Peay State University. I also taught in the environmental studies program at Oberlin College. And following Oberlin College, I came to Tennessee State University 15 years ago. And I've been teaching weather and climate at Tennessee State University. Weather and climate is part of earth system science. For the past 10 years, I've taught weather and climate. I've been a member and participant of the American Meteorological Society's climate diversity and climate weather projects, the objective of which is to expand the numbers and increase the numbers of people of color, specifically African Americans and people at HBCUs, in studying climate science and weather studies. So I've been in that program funded by the American Meteorological Society for the past 10 years. I'm also a certified weather spotter, so I'm one of the people that goes out and tries to warn the community of tornadoes and hail and other violent weather when it comes into our area.
Now, when you say that you're a certified weather spotter, now what does that mean? I mean, to be certified in reference to that.
Well, the National Weather Service periodically has trainings for anybody, any citizen who is interested in being out there on the ground looking for tornadoes especially. Tennessee is one of the places in the United States where you're most likely to be killed by a tornado. We were the #1 state until Alabama surpassed us a couple of years ago. So tornadoes can be very deadly events here. And even though a lot of news stations have radar, radar only detects tornadoes that are very close to the radar stations. The farther you get away from radar stations, you really need to have people and human beings on the ground with eyeballs to see these tornadoes. So even with all this technology that we have, we still need humans, such as myself, to spot the tornadoes and report in to the weather stations, hey, there's a tornado on the ground in Dixon County, or there's a tornado on the ground here, that may or may not even show up on radar.
And so in a real sense, you go out when there's a danger of a storm, and you go out and you search and you call back in, and now that's sort of a dangerous kind of situation because it means that you come put yourself in the line of these storms and tornadoes. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not a storm chaser. I'm not a tornado chaser. If I happen to be at work at Tennessee State University and a storm is coming, then I'll look out. I'll take cover, but I will watch the skies. If I'm at home or wherever I happen to be, I'll be watching the skies. And since we have cellular phones now, I would be able to call in and say I'm a certified spotter, and here's what I'm seeing occurring on the ground at this location. And then that way, the warning would go out that not only do we see a possible tornado using the radar, but there's someone who sees the actual tornado on the ground.
And by being a certified spotter, it means that gives you more credibility when you call and say and announce that you are a certified spotter.
Oh yes, I've been through training. Not just anybody can call in.
It
has to be someone who's been through the training.
With the experience and et cetera, know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
And that when the people on the other end receive it, that has great credibility being certified. Other than if I were to call and say it looks like we might have a tornado over here, I'm not certified. They probably wouldn't pay.
Yeah, you wouldn't have that. There's one phone number that we call.
Okay, but we're going to take this first commercial break, and then we'll get back into it. And we'll have our first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Professor DPadget from Tennessee State University, and the topic is the politics and consequences of climate change. Dr. Padgett, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we'd give you an opportunity to talk about what we consider to be the politics and consequences of climate change. And I think the reason we decided to entitle this The Politics and Consequences of Climate Change is because quite recently there was an all-night session in the United States Senate dealing with this issue of climate change, and we therefore felt that it was time to again have you in to talk to our audience again about what it means, what climate change is, and what the politics of it, and some of the consequences of the climate change. And so from that perspective, let's do it that way.
Okay, well first I'll start off defining some terms. First, some people use the terms weather and climate interchangeably. Weather refers to the atmospheric conditions in a very localized place, such as Nashville, but climate is over a much wider area and usually over a much longer period of time. So when we talk about climate, we're not talking about atmospheric conditions right here, right now. We're talking about what have the atmospheric conditions been over the past 100 years or 1,000 years or even 10,000 years. The next couple of terms I want to define are climate change and then global warming. Global warming is the more controversial of the two because that means that apparently the Earth's average atmospheric temperatures are warming, which they absolutely are. But when you start to say global warming, people start to get, that's a little scary for some people. So oftentimes people use the term climate change because the climate is constantly changing. The Earth has been through several ice ages, so the Earth's temperature has gotten warmer, and it's gotten cooler, and then warmed up, and then the ice melted, and so on and so forth. Now, what's controversial about climate change and/or global warming is the cause of it. Now, there is no debate over whether or not the Earth's average temperature has been warming. If you look at all the evidence, if you look at the past couple of decades, we've had the warmest decades, warmest months we've ever had in recorded history. So the debate is not over whether the climate is getting warmer or not. We definitely know that. The question is it human caused or is it natural? Now, if it's human caused, that means that we humans are releasing greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. What carbon dioxide does is it absorbs long-wave radiation, and it's that long-wave radiation that warms the Earth's atmosphere. So in theory, the more carbon dioxide there is in the atmosphere, the warmer the atmosphere is going to become. We humans put carbon dioxide in the atmosphere through burning fossil fuels. We drive our cars, we burn coal. About half of our electricity is produced by burning coal. So we engage in a lot of activities that pump carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The question is, are we pumping so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that we're causing the climate to change, that we're putting so much extra carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that it's absorbing excessive amounts of long-wave radiation and pushing our temperatures higher and higher, which eventually will melt the polar ice caps, which is melting glaciers, which will cause sea level rise and any number of consequences. There are some relationships between climate change and weather, such as hurricanes. Hurricanes are predicted to become more powerful. They might not become more frequent, but definitely as the ocean waters warm, we might see years such as year 2005. We had hurricanes Rita and Wilma and of course Katrina, which were some of the most powerful hurricanes and the largest hurricanes we've ever seen in recorded history. But the question comes in to play as to whether humans are significant enough factors on this planet to cause the climate to change. Because, like I said before, when humans weren't on the Earth warmed up, cooled down, we didn't have anything to do with it. One volcano can put enough greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It would be an equivalent amount of humans putting that amount in the atmosphere through our activities. One volcano. One volcanic eruption historically has changed the climate for years afterwards. We humans aren't necessarily able to do that. Now, what it all boils down to is money. If we humans are causing the climate to change and, of course, causing global warming, the way that we mitigate that is with pollution control, is that we pay for devices that will keep greenhouse gases from escaping. Those devices are very expensive. For example, there's a coal plant right here in Gallatin, Tennessee that's being retrofitted so that it will not produce as much greenhouse gas. For that one plant, the retrofit is $1 billion. That's $1 billion for one plant in Little Gallatin, Tennessee. So just think about the cost
all
across
over
the nation. We're talking about amounts of money that are unfathomable. Big business and industry, they do not want to pay that money if it's a natural cause. They don't want to find out from a scientist 20 years from now, oh, you know all those billions of dollars you spent? We were mistaken. This is all natural. The Earth is warming up all by itself. We humans don't have anything to do with it. So, and the money in politics comes into play in that, of course, the United States We are a massive producer of fossil of carbon dioxide. But there are other countries such as China and India that are right now having their own industrial revolutions. They're starting to get more involved in manufacturing, less involved in agriculture, and they're starting to pump tons and tons and tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And they don't want to slow down. They don't want to slow down any more than we wanted to slow down during our industrial revolution here. And so they're less apt on the global scale to be involved in anything that's going to sound like pollution control, because pollution control costs money, pollution control cuts into profits. And so the United States is sort of caught in the middle, because certainly we like to see these normally lower income countries develop, and we like their products. I mean, we get lots and lots of products from China. We are very much involved in business in India, but at the same time, that progress is causing pollution. And you can see what's happening in Beijing right now, where they're hardly able to see because the air is so bad.
Okay, we're going to take this second commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.